So mapping should not be taken something like mugging up the locations. People do that. They take a list of locations, okay, so they will say, okay, this is important, let's just mug it up. Okay, so and that is one of the very bad way of doing this, and if you do that, like you will not be able to remember many of the things. If we count the number of questions which are coming specifically from mapping area, so I can point out at least 10 to 11 questions out of 100. If you cover it through maps thoroughly, so definitely it is going to be a game changer in my opinion in prelims. The point is here it is not about just remembering the location, the reason behind that, why it is important. Okay, so we are going to integrate of course both static as well as current affairs related locations. Okay, but mainly focus upon the pre-PYQ themes and those important areas which is relevant for this year's prelims, that is 2025 prelims.
Hello and welcome to this special edition of VisionIAS related to a very important aspect of civil service exam, mapping. To discuss about it, we have today an esteemed faculty of VisionIAS, Rajesh sir. Welcome sir.
Thank you, Kapil.
Sir, before we start our discussion about mapping, how important is mapping segment for UPSC civil service exam?
So if at all you have seen in any aspirant's study room, so definitely you would have noticed that there would be a map on his wall. So that is the first thing anyone would do once they start to prepare. So they would definitely put a wall map. Okay, so this is like a trademark of UPSC preparation. What is the point of this mapping? So of course this is very important for a subject like geography. So where preparing geography without mapping is like learning music without instrument. Okay, so to understand any concept or any location, you need to visualize this on a map. And other than geography, many other subjects also have relevance in this context of mapping. So for example, the subjects like international relations or even environment, security, disaster management, or even history for that matter. You need to visualize this on a spatial scale. Okay, so then only you will be able to understand this in more clarity. Okay, so for example, in subject like environment, you are talking about environmental pollution of Delhi and the surrounding area. You need to visualize that surrounding area, why this is so prominent, the pollution is prominent in this region. Or you are talking about international relations, the relations between India and Bangladesh. You need to visualize that border area and where exactly the location is. Okay, so to understand the subject in detail, that visualization on a spatial scale is very important. There the mapping plays a very important role. And in addition to that, of course, in prelims, mains, in interview, in every stage it has a role. In prelims we have direct questions. In mains you have to justify your answers with the maps and figures. So then only it gives value addition. Even in interview for that matter also, many of the times the location based questions, where you are from, which location, the locations in your states or environment related locations, definitely it comes in interview also. So there in every section, every part of the UPSC preparation, mapping becomes important.
So as you mentioned about prelims, and prelims 2025 is just months away. So can you point out the specific importance of mapping for prelims exam?
Yeah, prelims, I'm not sure if many have noticed this. If we count the number of questions which are coming specifically from mapping area, so I can point out at least 10 to 11 questions out of 100. Okay, so in that of course there are geography mapping questions are there. Then there are questions related to the environment mapping, for example the national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, or even the locations related to international relations, disputed areas. If we count all of this, we can definitely find out around 10 to 11 questions out of 100. It's like a dark horse of UPSC prelims. And if you target this with a very less time, you can score very high. And very few people would do this actually. Okay, they think whatever you have done in the geography class or environment class, that would be sufficient. So if you will anyway remember that. No, if you cover it through maps thoroughly, so definitely it is going to be a game changer in my opinion in prelims.
Sir, as you mentioned few topics that should be focused for mapping, can you elaborate more about topics or themes specifically related to mapping segment?
Yeah, so the most commonly asked themes in mapping in geography includes the border areas, the seas and the surrounding countries. For example, the countries surrounding Mediterranean Sea, countries surrounding Red Sea, like that. So last year there was a question on the North Sea. Okay, so that is one thing, and even in the within the state borders also. If you're traveling from one place to another, what is the number of states you have to cross, like this? And other than that, the physical features like mountains, plateaus, rivers, volcanoes, okay, glaciers and passes. This has been one of the common themes in the physical features, and in economic locations, it would be related to the resources, industries, transportation corridors. Okay, so all these themes can be easily covered through mapping. And environment related, of course, the national parks, biosphere reserves, Ramsar sites. Okay, so and international relations, it is related to the disputed areas and those international summits. So these are some of the common themes one has to focus upon.
Thank you, sir. Now coming to preparation for this mapping segment, how should our aspirant approach this mapping segment specifically for prelims?
So mapping should not be taken something like mugging up the locations. People do that. They take a list of locations. Okay, so they will say, okay, this is important. Let's just mug it up. Okay, so and that is one of the very bad way of doing this. And if you do that, like you will not be able to remember many of the things. Okay, so the first thing, you always have to visualize it on a atlas or a wall map. Fine. First, you should develop a basic idea of the borders and the countries and their locations, rough idea. Okay, so where is the North America, what are the countries over there? Okay, Australia, Oceania, what are the countries over there? And what are the physical features of Asia, Europe, like this? A broad idea should be there. On top of that, you have to build. Okay, so the best way to do that is through your general studies preparation. Okay, for example, you are reading geography, so whenever you go through some concept, in examples you will find some of the locations. Just immediately open the map and see it over there. Okay, so while talking about the rivers, you will find many of these rivers. Okay, just mark it over there once. Or you are talking about the volcanism. Okay, so important active volcanoes. Okay, so immediately identify. So that is one of the easier way of doing this. Whenever you are reading general studies, parallelly you have to go through the maps. Same goes with international relations, IR, as well as disasters for that matter. In addition to that, of course, there is current affairs. Okay, current affairs, I assume that you read newspaper on daily basis, and every aspirant preparing for UPSC, they try to go through some current affairs magazine or something. Whenever you read about some particular location in news, immediately mark it on the atlas. If possible, try to make a note of this separately. Okay, so the point is here, it is not about just remembering the location, the reason behind that, why it is important. Okay, and the surrounding areas. Okay, if at all I am talking about the Kaveri river, you have to see the entire Kaveri basin, okay, from where exactly it originates. Through that basin, what are the national parks which are located, what are the major cities which are located, okay, what are the waterfalls which are present over there. So like this, you have to see it in an integrated manner. And visualization is very, very important here, otherwise it becomes too difficult.
Sir, now how Vision is trying to help our aspirant prepare this mapping segment specifically for this upcoming Prelims 2025?
So we have been conducting a special mapping session for our regular foundation course students since last 7 years. Okay, so every year at the end of the batch, we usually conduct a special series of classes covering all the mapping locations from geography, environment, as well as IR related locations together. It has been a wonderful experience, and because personally mapping is a very favorite area for me also. Even for the students also, I feel that they never get bored of the studying, like different locations and the interesting things about that. So this time, for the first time, we are planning to make it open for outsiders also, or any of the previous years students who wants to join these classes. So they can join. There's a separate module we are opening up. And through this, we are planning for a series of 8 classes in total. And in that, we'll be focusing mainly from the exam point of view and particularly from current affairs point of view. Okay, so we are going to integrate, of course, both static as well as current affairs related locations. Okay, but mainly focus upon the pre-PYQ themes and those important areas which is relevant for this year's prelims, that is 2025 prelims. Okay, so for that purpose, we are going to incorporate various methods of visualization, like high quality digital maps as well as satellite imageries, or even some of the interesting facts and storytelling associated with that, so that you easily associate and easily remember those things. So this is the plan. Along with that, the students will also be having some practice tests and quiz associated with this, and if they need any kind of mentorship in personal guidance related to this, that is also available here.
Thank you so much, sir, for guiding our aspirants. So, aspirants, I hope now you have a clear idea how to approach mapping for upcoming Prelims 2025. And if you want to know more about our mapping classes, do visit our website. Thank you.